All right. So for our predictions, we've already kind of talked about in previous episodes. We talked about Super Bowl, divisional predictions, all that good stuff. But right now, we are going to predict who we think will be the top five in each major category. So of course, there's passing. We're going to pick our top five passers for the upcoming season. There's rushing. There's also receiving. So Elijah and I have a similar list to an extent, but as I'm sure we get deeper into it, there will be some differences because the wide receiver is just wide open. The receiving position, I had a really tough time coming up with my top five for that. But rushing and passing, we may be pretty similar going forward. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start. Elijah, who are your top five passers for the 2021 season?
So number one, I'm going Justin Herbert.
That's interesting. As number one.
I think I'm going with Herbert number one because if you look back at the past like 10 years or even 20 years, the number one passer is not from a team that's super successful.
Mm-hmm.
It's been like Jameis Winston with the Bucks, Deshaun Watson last year with the 4-12 Texans.
Yeah.
Um, you know, Drew Brees with the 8-8 Saints for like 3 years in a row when they didn't have a defense and they could only just make it to the playoffs or barely miss the playoffs. So it's normally historically been a team with a really good offense and a really bad defense. But for some reason, I just don't have huge belief year one in the Chargers defense, even though they do have guys that are really talented. For some reason, I'm just really garnering towards that old school Chargers choke belief and that they're going to be competing in late games. And so history says that the guy who wins the passing title is going to be someone who has to throw late in the games, and that's going to be Justin Herbert.
That's interesting. I would not be opposed to that. I would love to see that, honestly, because I like Justin Herbert. I think he's gonna have a hell of a
See,
career.
that's a good argument, right? That's
Yeah, that
I
is
came at you with some numbers.
that is. I think he's gonna be close to the top five, but he didn't make my top five. Who else is in yours? What's the rest of your list?
So I went Dak number two. The only reason why I didn't have him number one because he's the epitome of like good offense, bad defense, going to be
Yeah,
competitive
yeah,
late games. That's going to be us this year.
yeah.
Only reason why I didn't put him number one is because I'm afraid of his shoulder right now. I'm afraid of how quick he's going to adapt back to the NFL game after taking all of last year off.
That's fair.
Number three, I got Stafford. The only thing holding me back from putting him number one, kinda, is that how much Sean McVay loves to run the football. So the running game is a huge part of that Rams offense. So a lot of people think Stafford's going to put up monster numbers. I think not. I think Stafford isn't going to necessarily put up monster numbers himself, but the Rams offense is going to put up monster numbers
Just overall, yeah,
overall. I think they're going to
yeah.
be more involved like a by committee offense. But like no one, they're going to be like one of those offense where they're top in the league, but none of their guys are top of the stat list.
Which is honestly, I mean, that's what you want, really. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Oh yeah.
not individually, but like as a team, those are usually the more successful teams. So, yeah, I agree with that logic.
The number four, I got Josh Allen. Um, the Bills defense is still kind of suspect,
We got
and
a lot of young guys.
he's got a fucking cannon just like last year. So I expect him to put up. I expect him to put up big numbers once again. And then I got Pat Mahomes. So Pat Mahomes, man, I almost wanted to take him off this list, but he's so damn good.
That's yeah. I honestly had him like on the brink. He's my bonus pick actually, but we'll get into that. You go ahead. You finish.
Yeah, he's just so damn good. I couldn't put him off him. But the Chiefs, they've been in some low scoring games last year, and they also have a pretty decent defense. And
Yeah,
also, too, in late games, and a lot of times, they're winning. So he doesn't have to pass. So that's going to put him back in like the numbers category.
that is true. That's a good point to think about. And
They're just
then,
too good of a team for him to have.
do you have any extra picks?
Yeah, so my bonus pick is going to be Jalen Hurts. And I know I've been low on Jalen Hurts in the past, but it's part of those. What made me really pick Jalen Hurts is that Deshaun Watson last year with the 4-12 team led the league in passing yards. Jalen Hurts strikes me as a guy that can put up numbers, but their team is still going to suck.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. Because I think if Jalen Hurts is going to succeed on offense, they're going to succeed both rushing and passing with him. Like he will be running the ball a lot as well. So I really wouldn't see him putting up more than 250 yards a game.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't know. That's kind of out of left field, especially for you. You know, you've been dogging the Eagles and
I've been
Hurts. and-
dogging him, but he did have like a 400-yard game last year in like his first game, right?
That's true. He did. I don't have any faith in the Eagles
So-
receivers either.
But one of the reasons why I pick him is because he's going to be playing a lot of garbage time.
That's true. You know, if you really talk about
your-
like, yeah, thinking about
He's a
like that
beat-
kind of stuff.
He's your new Blake Bortles.
Blake Bortles, bro.
He's
What a
your
legend.
He's your ultimate fantasy quarterback.
He could be, bro. He could be because he's gonna get rushing touchdowns as well.
And he's going to be a garbage time king because the Eagles are going to fucking suck.
They're probably gonna go like 3-14, if that.
Now I think 4 or 5 wins for the Eagles.
Yeah, I could see a 4 and what at 13
4, 5,
now,
6.
I guess. Yeah, 4 and
I
13 or
hate
5
this
and
name.
12.
The extra number fucks me
So
up
stupid, bro.
much.
Yeah,
I hate it just for that.
I'm not
Just
used
for like
to it,
saying
man.
it.
And then I'm also gonna hate it even more in like 5 years whenever we're talking about like, oh, this historical stat, yada yada, but it was after the schedule change. Like, stupid. All right, so my top 5 is pretty similar to yours, except for I don't have Stafford. I mean, not Stafford. I don't have Herbert on there at all. So for my number 1, I'm going Josh Allen. I think the Bills don't really have a solid number 1 or number 2 option at running back. You can make a case for Zach Moss because he's pretty athletic, but he wasn't very involved with their system last year. And I think they're really going to focus on Allen, getting it to Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley. They're going to work it in. So that's my number 1 pick. I agree
excellent
for number
pick.
2. Yeah, I agree for number 2 with Dak as well. I think Dak arguably could be number 1. And, you know, you mentioned garbage time, and the Cowboys don't necessarily play in a lot of garbage time, but they play in a shit ton of close games, or at least in the last few years.
They play a lot of comebacks too.
Yeah. And the last 2 years, especially, they've been having crazy comebacks. So that would be huge for passing yards. That's why Dak is my number 2, if he stays healthy, of course. I have the same exact 2 and 3 as you. I have Matthew Stafford at my number 3 as well. I had picked him as my MVP in our last podcast, so I'm very high on him. I do agree with what you said about the Rams, that they may end up being like a committee-style offense. So that'll be interesting to watch how it pans out. But either way, I'm excited for Stafford and McVay.
Rams are going to be must-watch TV this year.
Yeah, definitely. It would have been even better with Cam Akers, but that sucks. Number 4, I'm surprised you didn't have him on your list because you put Herbert in there, is Aaron Rodgers. This is Aaron Rodgers' last dance, I think, with the Packers. I think him and Devontae Adams are going to put up crazy numbers. I also have Adams as my number 1 receiver, so we'll get to that in a bit. And then last but not least, my number 5 quarterback on the list is going to be Joe Burrow. And I know that may sound like a little bit of a homer pick, but the reasoning behind it is my man throws 50 passes a game. Even though they have Joe Mixon, he is an absolute workload. He threw more than any rookie quarterback in the history of the NFL in his first few games. So I wouldn't be surprised if they roll out with that same system, that same scheme, because their offensive line is so terrible they can't even run the ball. So
No, you're right. You're right with Joe Burrow because the Bengals have such a horrible secondary that they're going to be forced to throw the ball no matter what.
yeah,
so
they're going
he's
to play
gonna
a ton
be-
of garbage time.
He's going to have a Matt Ryan type season for sure this year.
Yeah, which I'm excited to see Burrow do it, but I'm not excited to watch my Bengals lose all the time.
Yeah.
And then my bonus pick, if Dak Prescott is to get injured during the season, then I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes as my next man up. But honestly, I didn't even think about some of the things you brought up, how the Chiefs are usually winning, that they're always going to run the clock out. So that could play a factor in all of this, but just because he's so damn good, I got to put Mahomes
Gotta put
up
him
in
up
that
there.
cap.